Hello, hello, YouTube. Did I just want to go over my league store? Oh, not my league store plans, but the builds that I've cooked up so far. Builds that I am genuinely considering league sorting. So I do want to say at the moment, this is my spread. I'm 80% on thinking of sorting Sage, 5% Bing 1, and 15% Selena 2. Both Bing 1 and Selena 2 seem really interesting because they have built-in automation. And the numbers on both of them are very, very good, especially Selena 2. She has really insane numbers, but I'll get to that in a bit. And Sage is just because, man, I did all of these Sage videos. Everyone's abandoning Sage. No one believes in her. Like, at least one person has to champion her. This poor girl. She just feels used and abused and then left behind. Now, I am doing a bet with someone, a race to first to SS20, so I'm actually not allowed to play Rosa 2. So keep that in mind for some of these builds, because some of them I do think Rosa 2 would have been better. The first build that I really thought about a lot was Sage Burning Shot Ignite. So I think Burning Shot Ignite seems really powerful. If you watched my Burning Shot Ignite video from like before, you know that I already spoke quite highly of the build. I thought it felt really good to play. And going to the new season, it actually received probably the most buffs out of any build here on this list. Like, I can't even begin to explain just how much better this build got. The point where, like, the numbers you saw in this Ignite build is probably going to be, like, ×3, ×4 the damage that you see here on League Start. That is absolutely absurd. So, the first and main thing that we actually got is this new Agony Dew. I remember when I was doing my Sage Burning Shot setup, I only got to about 200%, 200% affliction effect, which, that's not bad, but it's quite low. And I was investing quite a lot of my like character into trying to get affliction effect and trying to get dot damage. Having a Dew that just gives you like over 4% affliction effect and over 4% dot damage is extremely powerful. This alone is like 3 times the damage that I had from the build, because if you play Sage, you can realistically get to about 700% elixir effect with Tailored Remedy. So getting to 700% elixir effect of Tailored Remedy, this is going to give you over 400% affliction effect and over 4% dot damage, which is very, very powerful. And then all of that, in terms of tankiness, I think Sage is going to be very tanky late game in the new season. So a new prism that they gave us, or maybe not a new prism, but one that they actually reworked, is gonna be this Tenacity Dew. So Tenacity Dew now gives you 15% of your first damage taken is converted to random element, and you gain 4% max res. If you get 700% elixir effect with a Tailored Remedy, that 4% is gonna turn into 32%. So with just this one elixir, you are 30 max res, and you're converting all of your first damage taken into elemental damage taken. So you get 100% first conversion, and you get 90 max res with just one Dew. Your other Dew is giving you ×3 damage in terms of affliction effect. Because the Burning Shot Ignite build didn't really have like a second Dew that it could use. It felt very awkward of your Dews. And then on top of that, you now also have damage transfer to minions, which with 800% effect, you're going to cap that out at 60% for hit damage and 90% for dot, not 90%, like 80% for dot damage, which you're transferring all of this damage taken to minions. And what you can then do is you can actually equip a module, like any good module. Oh dear, I think Talibi might be getting updated. And you can equip Modularization Sever. Now what Sever does is makes that your minions take 99% reduced damage, which should be enough that your minions should never die. So not only do you have 90 max res, all of your damage is taken as elemental, you also on top of that have a 60% damage reduction, 60% damage transfer, which is essentially 60% damage reduction. This is just absolutely disgusting. Now, I did try to compare this to Yoga 2. Yoga 2's Year Trade does give him like about a 3x damage multi. I personally think Sage is probably going to be better than Yoga 2. I'm going to be honest with you. This is one of the a lot of the issues that I have with Sage right now is why play Sage? What does Sage do that another hero doesn't do better? And the Burning Shot Ignite build is like one of the few builds where I actually think Sage might just be the best on it. Also, on top of that, with the new season, they did add 2 things for us. It's way easier to get Ill Omen now, because before it was really hard to fit Ill Omen into your build as a Burning Shard Ignite character. I think it's gonna be a lot easier now, especially with Affliction Dew and with just other sources of Ill Omen, to get the Ill Omen curse and to get it to 100% effect, which is really nice for us. And they added a legendary medium talent, 4% Ignite chance against enemies that are not ignited. I'm actually not sure if this is gonna work the way I think it's gonna work. If it works the way I think it's gonna work, it's gonna make like overcapping your Ignite a lot easier, but it might actually not work because it's based off the enemy debuff and not just like baseline, which would be kind of sucky. But you know, can't have everything in life go your way, can you? So that's the first build. It's the Burning Shard Ignite build. I think it's gonna be. This is a very strong contender for me right now. I think this build is gonna be like absolutely S tier. It's gonna be one of the strongest builds you can play on Sage. But some other 2 builds that really stood out to me is actually of the new Nether Kings. So they added these Nether Kings. Really? Okay, there we go. They added this Nether King's Divinity, which I'll probably make a video about it, explaining exactly how this works eventually. In my reaction video, I do actually go into a lot of detail about it, but it might not even be enough detail. I might just need its own video entirely. But in Nether King's Banishment, there's one for Shadow Strike skills and for Steep Strike skills that both seem very, very, very interesting. So the Steep Strike one is very high investment to get up and running, but basically, for every 1% Steep Strike chance above 100% chance, you have a 1% chance to trigger a core Steep Strike skill, which we don't know if this is a different Steep Strike skill than the one you're already using, or if you only need one Steep Strike skill and you can just like keep on triggering one skill you already have. But whenever you do trigger a skill, it's going to cause the skill to deal 70% additional damage. So if you reach 200% Steep Strike chance, if it triggers the same skill that you're already using over and over again, you're essentially just double hitting and doing 270% additional damage. And if it doesn't work like that, and it needs a different skill, then you could do like a whirlwind plus focus strike setup, for example, and trigger your second Steep Strike skill, focus slash, which is like a very powerful one, and give it 170% additional damage, like 70% additional damage, so it does 170% of its usual damage. I think this build is going to be absolutely good, like completely broken. Some ideas that I had for it actually is, so one obvious character to do this on is going to be Rosa 2. Very, very good for Rosa 2. But obviously I'm not allowed to play Rosa 2. I think Rayhan 2 is going to be really good of this. Especially if it works the way that I think it is, where it's like chance to trigger a core Steep Strike skill, where it can trigger itself. Because if you play Rayhan 2, you go Berserking Blade, you just are double hitting every Berserking Blade now, and you're just doing 270% additional damage. Or like 270% of your normal damage. So by investing into more Steep Strike chance, you're just a fucking ultra mega killing machine, just running across maps, everything just dies. Another character that could be interesting for this though is Erica 2, where you play Erica 2 and you go Whirlwind, because Whirlwind is really good for triggering the Banishment Steep Strike, because if you actually look at what Whirlwind does, it does have this innate built-in 100% additional attack speed for the skill. So it has 100% APS, so you have double the attack speed when you use Whirlwind, and you're just constantly triggering Focus Slash. And the only thing that like I'm a bit 50-50 on is like, am I gonna like half of the time trigger Whirlwind, half of the time trigger Focus Slash, or am I always triggering like Focus Slash? Like, you know, there's a bit of uncertainty about how this is gonna work exactly, but I think this is gonna be a very, very powerful banishment that a lot of people are gonna play around. And I think it's gonna be very expensive because of that. But I'm very tempted to, like, this looks so fun for me to play. The only reason I don't have, like, you know, Rayhan 2 or Erica 2 on my League Start list is we don't know how rare this is gonna be. This could be, like, absurdly rare. This could be, like, a profound only thing, you know? It's just, I don't want to take that risk on my League Start. This feels like something I would definitely reroll a second character into, and if it is common, like in future league starts, like consider doing it. But like if it's not common, like I don't really want to play a melee build. You know, I don't like that playstyle personally, even if it's overtuned. Then the other one that I thought was really powerful actually was the Eric 2 Spiral Strike, Shadow Strike one. So after using attack mobility skill, aka Spiral Strike, your Spiral Strike strike skills deal additional damage, like damage 12%. This is like literally irrelevant. Unless this is additional damage, but it doesn't say additional. But here, casting attack mobility skill triggers 2 core Shadow Strike skills. So what you can do with Erica is if you go and get a lot of movement speed on Erica. Now, Spiral Strike does scale off of both movement speed and attack speed. But there's actually a way to make it scale like double dip of movement speed. There's this trait. 35% of bonuses for movement speed is also applied to the CTR of mobility skills. You can get this talent from Blade Runner. You can inverse image it to get it again. And you can then get it from a slate. And you can get this like to 110% or even higher. And if you're playing like Erica 2 and you're like dex stacking, for example, and you have over 300% movement speed, you're literally giving your Spiral Strike over 300% CDR, which is gonna just skyrocket the cast speed of it. It is gonna cast so fucking fast. And every time you Spiral Strike, guess what? You're triggering a Shadow Strike skill. And I think this build in late game is literally gonna just hold down Spiral Strike, go at Mach 10 speed, and just full clear, just kill everything in one shot with one Shadow Strike. Because these Shadow Strikes are doing a lot of damage. And this makes the most sense to do on Erica 2, but I think you could also do this on Rosa 2. I think Rosa 2 and Erica 2 are like the two characters that could do this. I don't really see why we do it on Rayan 2. I think it doesn't really fit his kit. And you can't do this on Erica 1. Get fucked, Erica 1 players. Okay. In fact, neither of these really work on Erica 1 because the problem of triggering a skill is you can't multi-strike a trigger. Which is, you know, what Erica 1 does. She multi-strikes. A build that I didn't write down, but now that I like think about it, I genuinely think Erica 2 Spellburst might just be goated. This Banishment Spellburst literally just gives you activation medium's burst activation. You just gain it without any of the downsides, without needing to spend a ton of money buying a burst activation, and you can just like rush getting a Surging Inspiration. You buy one of these early game, assuming it's like available early game, and you're just up and running Surging Inspiration. You get a corroded Surging Inspiration with Beacon, and you just do infinite damage. This is really exciting for like Erica 2 Spellbursting. Because by far the most expensive part of playing Erica 2 Spellbursting is the burst activation. So being able to get that for cheap is absolutely awesome. Okay, but that's it for the melee characters, or like, you know, Erica 2. Another character that seems really good for me is Bing 1. The Bing 1 rework is really good. Despite what the Discord says, it is really good. So, I was thinking you can either play Ice Shot Bing 1. Ice Shot did get a big buff in this patch notes, and Ice Shot already was good. I don't know why it got buffed. I feel like the skill was already really good, and then on top of that, it also got buffed. Or you can play Blazing Bullet, which is what people normally play on Bing. And Bing is really sick. So the TLDR of the rework. Now this math I didn't do myself. This math was done by Void, which is a friend of mine. Bing 1 at the moment with the rework is about 10% better than Carino 2. Now apparently Bing 1 is actually worse than his like previous variant with the rework. But the previous variant of Bing 1 was fucking unplayable. It was one of the most garbage designed characters ever, which had infinite damage and was one-shotting bosses. Now, instead of one-shotting bosses, you're like a tiny bit worse than the previous Bing 1, apparently. Like, it's like, I saw the numbers on it, like, a lot of people did the math on it. It's so fucking slightly worse. And you're now an insane mapping character that feels really good to play. So I genuinely don't understand. Like, I don't know. I mean, people who played Old Bing 1, like, they were a bit cuckoo in the head either way. They did shit like just fucking bossing all season. Now the character's like actually like good and playable by like more than 5 people. But yeah, the Bing 1 rework seems really good. The math is in its favor. It's about 10% better than Karina 2, according to Void. And it has a built-in activation medium. So this 10% better than Karina 2 is assuming you do not use the activation medium and use the other trait, because in late game you would swap to like motionless or standstill medium. But for early mapping, you just have like the activation medium, or you can just do motionless early on. But obviously, the big thing about motionless is you're not casting while you're spiral striking or doing shift shadow rage strikes, which is like the ranged variant of spiral strikes. I'm just gonna call it spiral strikes, but there's a ranged version of spiral strike that Bing 1 uses. And with the automation, when you are spiral striking, you are constantly casting, which is why it's like really nice. But yeah, Bing 1 is very tempting, very, very tempting. I also think it's just gonna be really cheap. Like, his numbers are really good. And who's playing attack builds in the season? It's literally a caster season. It's not 2, Terra skills, it's dot builds, it's hit-based casting builds. If you're and like a lot of the like, what do you call it? A lot of the like sweaty tryhard people, they always go melee builds. Melee attack skills is like by far the most overtuned mechanic in this game. So a lot of the sweaty tryhards always go the melee attack builds. They go Rosa 2, they go Erica 1, stuff like that. So if you're playing Bing 1, like, who's your competition? I think you're just gonna get your items really cheap. So I think it's actually gonna be a really good season for Bing 1, which is why it's kind of tempting for me. And also, I do miss my Brat 2 skin. I do miss it, considering that Bing 2 is kind of just not viable anymore. At least not early game. Okay, Cena 2. My honest answer for Cena 2 is we just don't know yet. We don't have TLIDB, we don't have the numbers yet. It's really hard to say like, oh, this skill, this skill, this skill, because we don't have the numbers yet for the skills. You might say like, oh yeah, you do have the numbers, but the big thing about these skills is we don't have like the full numbers. We don't have all of the tags. We don't have all of the numbers. We don't have all of the information. And I think it's foolish to like make an assumption without having all of the information yet. But with that being said, I don't think it matters. Cena 2 is the new hero. Like, these devs always make the new hero overtuned as fuck. And on top of that, we have like the new Teresco rework, which seems really strong, really broken. The last few times we've had reworks, like, everything's been absolutely absurdly broken. I think you can just play anything. I think you can just log in on Cena 2 and figure it out as you go, and you're just gonna have an amazing time. She looks really powerful. I love her automation. I love the RF playstyle. I think she's gonna be like, she's definitely like the new mind control character, I think. Like, a lot of people in China like mind control because, you just press the button, you just press W, and you just have a good time. Cena 2 is just mind control on steroids and better. It's like pre-nerf mind control. You have your activation medium. You're just gonna walk into maps and just have a good time and just enjoy it. And like, I'm promising you, after the season, she's gonna get heavily nerfed. I promise you that she is going to receive insane nerfs next patch. So just enjoy her while you can. And hopefully she's still playable next patch. Okay, and then we also have Sage, that's Erica 1, Arrow Anrior. So obviously we did make our Arrow Anrior video. Now, people when watch this video, they saw big number on damage. So in their brain, this is like the only viable Sage build because they're stupid like that. I do think the Burning Shots build is better, but Arrow Anrior probably has more damage. The Arrow Anrior build, the more I cooked on it, there is some potential for it. The big thing that I kept thinking to myself, though, when I was looking at the Arrow Annual build is, why play this over Erica 1? And I don't have an answer to that. Because I feel like if you just take all of the gear from Sage and put it on Erica 1, you might just have more damage. I didn't test it. I haven't leveled an Erica 1. I haven't set up an Erica 1 of Arrow Annual. But it's kind of the problem you're always going to have with Sage. Is like, why play Sage when you can play a different character? And what does Sage actually bring to the table? I do think Sage brings quite a bit to the table. I think Sage is always going to be tankier than Erica 1. It's not even close. We have the 90 max res setup that I mentioned before. We have the 60% damage reduction from your Euro trade that got reworked. And I think Scorpion Distillate is going to be absurdly powerful for this build because we kind of need attack speed and we need projectile speed. These two things, the build was really lacking when I was testing it, and it was very tight to like fit in. So having both of them now is just going to be very powerful once you do get the Scorpion Stinger Distillate, but obviously this is like very expensive. And then you kind of have two options to play this build. I think going True Flame with like the Agony Dew and playing 3 Dews is an option. Or you can just stick with the cold setup. I think the new like reworks of like the distillates here, where instead of them doing damage conversion, they now just do add damage equal to first damage, is actually very powerful. And any like Death's Touch build that Sage does kind of just got buffed a lot by this. Because adding that much like damage based off your first damage is really powerful. It just like it like more than doubles your flat basically, which is really powerful. Okay, so with all of that being said, yeah, this was my thoughts. I was just writing all sorts of things. I do think there's a world. So one issue that you might have with like going to 90 max 100% first elemental like Dew is it is quite difficult getting to 90 max res. It is a lot of investment to get all of those res rolls on your gear. Because even if you spec into res on the Still Vanguard tree, even if you spec into res on the Still Vanguard tree, you still need to get 2 res rolls, 2 T0 res rolls per res. So that's 6 res rolls, or 6 suffixes. And remember, this is a setup that kind of struggles with like crit and stuff, so you know, there are some issues to fix and things. And I do think there's a universe where instead of going for 90 max res 100% first elemental, you instead just go an extra damage deal, like a second damage deal, and you just go for 50% injury buffer plus the 60% damage transfer to minions and some life regain. Like, maybe you don't need to be that tanky, you know, but there's gonna be like a very like feely thing where it's like you just have to figure it out as you're playing it. And I'll give you a hint, the rest of the builds are going to be all Sage builds. Next one's going to be Chromatic Shot. I'm going to be honest with you. Chromatic Shot looks really good. I think Chromatic Shot's going to be really good next season. They basically reworked Chromatic Shot this season. So now it's a first ability. It doesn't like do the conversion anymore, and it doesn't like... You know, it's not going to have, like, the fire, lightning, cold tag, all of those things. It's just going to have the first tag now. We don't know what attributes it's going to be. I assume Chromatic Shot's still going to be all 3 attributes. I hope it is, because that's, like, going to be a big thing. But again, it would be nice to have TLIDB. We don't, so we just don't know. It's impossible to know until TLIDB updates. But they did add a new support to Chromatic Shot, where it's, like, condensed cold, condensed fire, condensed lightning. Which, you know, gives it the cold tag, it makes it do frostbite, it does all sorts of things. It basically does, like, multiple cold stuff in one, which is really nice. Or you have the condensed fire tag, which does multiple fire things in once. And I think both condensed cold and condensed fire, like, Chromatic Shots can be very powerful. I think in the early game for Sage, you're probably going to play Prophet and do cold convert. But in the late game, you have 2 really strong options. You can either just go like generic cold convert, which I'm not sure if that's going to be the most powerful version of the setup. But one setup that really stood out to me is actually the fire convert one. Because if you use the new Dew that we get, the new Agony Dew, which gives you a friction effect, and you go True Flame, Chromatic Shot Fire, and you do fire convert with True Flame with Mask of the Infernal Iron. I think that build's gonna fucking slam, dude. I think it's gonna be so good. I think it's gonna be so good, man. Because you get 90% max fire res, you convert all of your cold and lightning damage to fire, and then you do damage transfer to minions. You get GMP, you get Iron Lion, you get +1 on your wands, and you use Miraculous Touch, which got buffed. And you do Scorpion Distillate for attack and cast speed, as well as projectile speed for Gale. You do the Affliction Dew, and you're just owning. Or instead of that, you can also go Death's Touch plus Bow. I think Death's Touch plus Bow is going to be worse, but it might be cheaper just because I think Selena's going to use wands. I'm a big fan of Chromatic Shot next season. I think it's going to be really good. Tangles did get nerfed a slight amount. It's not the end of the world for Tangles, but it did get nerfed. And also, Chromatic Shot in general just got nerfed, which, again, it was overtuned. It needed a nerf. Also, Sage got absolutely gutted in like nerfs. But, you know, sometimes in life, when you get nerfed, you just have to adjust. Instead of being depressed about being nerfed because you're playing the most overtuned thing ever created, just try to make it work. And stop being a little bitch. Demo skills got buffed. Like, everything I did in my demo video basically just got buffed. I think you're not forced into doing the True Flame setup, but it's going to be the exact same setup as like Chromatic Shot, just instead of Chromatic Shot, you're doing a demo skill. GG noobs. Something to note, by the way, if you do use Mask of the Infernal Iron, you cannot use any First Convert. First Convert does brick Mask of the Infernal Iron, because even though you're converting your lightning and cold damage to fire, for some reason that happens before you convert first to elemental. I have no idea why. But like if you convert your first to random elemental and it converts like to like cold damage, you're just gonna get nuked by cold damage. It's really stupid. It makes no sense to me why it doesn't convert that cold to fire, but it just doesn't. Which is quite unfortunate, because it does mean both of these builds are going to be a lot weaker to first damage than, like, one of the other setups I maybe did. Okay, and then lastly, Ring of Blades. The Ring of Blades build did get nerfed quite a bit, but I don't think it's actually as bad as it looks. You can still get +7, like, quant on Ring of, like, +7 proj quant on Ring of Blades from Wands, GMP, Iron Lion, State Mod, or also from Bow. You're pretty much forced into using Wind Breath now, because a lot of the like sources of early +1 max channel stacks got removed. So you're pretty much forced into using at least a Wind Breath to get like the 5 initial max channel stacks. But max channel stacks do like, you know, become worse and worse the more of them you have. So instead of having those, you're using +1 level mods, using additional damage to frozen enemies, stuff like that. It's gonna be a slight nerf overall. But, you know, it's not going to be end of the world or anything. And I do think Scorpion Distiller's change is actually really good. Because if you have only 2 elixirs and you have your 700% elixir effect, this is giving you 300% proj speed. Proj speed also affects how quickly your Ring of Blades deal the damage. So not only does it scale with Gale, it also just affects the actual, like, hit ratio of your build. So maybe that's just going to be, like, absolutely insane for the build. But we'll have to see how it plays out. Even if the build's nerfed, it was really broken last season. So I think Ring of Blades is still going to be really, really good next season, but it did definitely get nerfed. I think the demo skills got buffed. I think Chromatic Shot obviously got nerfed heavily, but it's still going to be good. Arrow Einer Yor, I'm not sure. I think this build is going to have some struggles. And the big thing about it is just like, I don't know why you're going to play this over just playing Erica 1. That's the big worry I have, is going Erica 1 is just going to be better. But with that being said, like, nothing we got this season is, like, especially good for this build, but nothing was bad for it either, so it should still be fine. And then Burning Shot got massive buffs, by far the biggest buffs out of any of the Sage builds we tested. Builds I didn't mention, by the way, Mana Stacker, don't care, just, I don't like the build. Flame Streams, don't care, I don't like the build. This build did get buffed though. This build did receive a big buff. ES Stacker, pretty much unaffected, actually. But again, I just don't care about the build. So yeah. Oh, where the heck am I? There we go. So yeah. Those are like the builds that I've been thinking about league sorting. I don't think there's anything else that I might add to this list. I'm pretty sure I'm gonna like go with one of these. And a big reason why I have Sage at 8%. So one reason is just no one's playing Sage, and like I feel bad, man. Like everyone's calling her dead, everyone's saying the character got fucking demolished and blah 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 blah. I feel bad for her. I just want to show that she's so decent. Like, I'm gonna be honest, I'm gonna set your expectations. If you League Sword Sage, you're gonna have a shit early game. Her early game is, like, not as good anymore. She's still gonna be fine late game. She's gonna have a rough early game, but I play Erica too, man. I fucking play Bing too. I play Erica too. I play characters who specialize in being absolutely garbage the first few days of the league. That is like my specialty. And I don't think she's gonna be that bad. I hope she's not gonna be that bad. And something that's really nice about her is if I do League start her, I can kind of just go with the flow. Like whatever ends up happening, like I can just like on a whim decide if like, oh, this build's really popular, like just do a different setup. Because I'm sure at least one of these setups that I've listed is gonna be like fairly cheap and fairly efficient to go for. Big one's still very tempting. Xena 2 is always very tempting. I mean, it's one of those things where it's like if you don't play the new hero, like next season she's gonna be heavily nerfed next season. I think she's gonna be very good this season though. And this Nether King stuff, if we knew for sure that this is like viable to get early on, I think I would just lock it in and just League start like Ran 2 or Erica 2. Because this just looks fun to me. Like I haven't played a melee attack build in so long, and this actually makes me want to play one. Anyway, thank you all so much for watching. I hope you guys had a good video, a lovely time watching, and hopefully there's a build here that maybe piques your interest. Maybe you're gonna copy me, or maybe you're gonna do one of the builds that I don't get around to doing, and have a good time with it. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope you have a lovely day further, and I'll see you all again next time. Bye-bye, YouTube. Bye-bye.